ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Status Network, the live TV channel, and this is the Conversation Corner with your host, Author Andrew Snorton, and let's have a conversation. As usual, we have great guests coming in from entertainment, business, the community, and beyond, and tonight we've got an exclusive guest, a fellow author. But before we get into our exclusive guest, we want to make sure that we go ahead and take care of a couple of station announcements about yours truly, and then going ahead and going straight into the show. First off, with the Status Network, make sure that, and best to tune in and enjoy this show, you want to make sure you're on statusnetwork.net. Click on the menu for channels, click on LYVE for live TV, and then go ahead and go to the show, The Conversation Corner. On your smartphones, make sure to download the Status Network app, click on channels, click on live TV, and lo and behold, we're already on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope. Make sure you're adding Status Network and live TV to enjoy the show. For those of you that have Roku and Amazon Fire Stick, go ahead and tune in to Status Network right about now, and you can go ahead and enjoy the show. And then, of course, in order to keep track of your favorite author, or if I'm not, I should be real soon, make sure that you are adding Author Andrew Snorton on Facebook, and make sure to add Author A. Snorton on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. But if you're following me on Instagram right now at Author A. Snorton, you're getting a behind-the-scenes look at how we make the magic happen. And again, we're very grateful and appreciative of you supporting this show, supporting my show, of course. But don't forget, the entire Status Network family of shows, multiple channels, radio, great hosts doing some really great things across the board. So again, thank you for supporting me, but make sure to take time to support the entire Status Network family of shows. There's a bunch of great people already on board and more coming. Now let's go ahead and take care of our announcements. That we're merging everything since we've got a special guest coming in. So, November the 9th, all my friends and associates in Dallas, Texas. That's right. Join me November 9th from 3 to 5 p.m. at Pan African Connection. They are one of the bookstores carrying both of my books, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton, and 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1, both of which made the top 1,000 list this year of the Author Academy Awards. So you're getting a chance to see me on the come up. And, of course, you can also get copies of the author's mixtape, which is done in partnership with Third Level Entertainment and Canis Digital Major. They're going to get me on this one, but you can download that, and we'll talk about the audiobook in a little bit. But join me in Dallas on the 9th of November. Our next announcement is going to be my friends and associates in North Carolina. Yes, it's clear. Me and North Carolina have some positive things going on. Louisville, North Carolina. After you do what you need to do Sunday morning, join me Sunday afternoon, November 3rd, from 2 to 4:30 p.m. at West Bend Winery and Brewery. So after you've had a little bit of the spirit, you can get your fill of the spirit. Okay, I'm being a little bit sarcastic there, but you guys get the idea. A nice beverage, nice light bite, and yours truly signing both books, and you can get your copies. Well, you can do your downloads of the audiobook, the author's mixtape, and a portion of the on-site sales. And we're going to announce this multiple times, but the week leading up to the event, we'll donate a portion of the online sales to the Greater Greensboro Black Chamber of Commerce. So Triad needs sure to represent Louisville, Kernersville, Clemens, Winston, High Point, Greensboro. Don't let me go through what's going on in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, Guilford County. I know my counties, folks. So join me there. Our next announcement is one of our guests that was on last time. We had Majority Greek Magazine on for our previous show. Remember, this coming Saturday, October 12th, the Babydolls Against Cancer campaign. It'll take place from 12 to 6 p.m. up in Alpharetta, Georgia. I believe it's $50. I've got to double check, but make sure you go on their site. Remember, they are doing a great event where you can get dolled up, get your photo ops and what have you, and you're helping to support a good cause. Says the proceeds are helping benefit the Change Up Campaign Incorporated. So take a look, and shouts to our friends at Majority Greek Magazine. Our next announcement is going to be after the show, is the after wind down. I can't say after party because some of y'all take that party thing a little bit too seriously and tear up stuff and whatever. I'm not going to be held responsible for that. But I will be held responsible for the wind down at our favorite space and place, Maduro Cigar Bar. So join me from about 8:35 until close. The Wine Down special tonight is a $5 beverage, and it's a wine down special. As a side note, since it's so close to the ballpark, and last time I read the Braves are getting smacked, some of y'all might need some therapy, so you might want to make your way and meet me at Maduro's. If you get there before me, I totally understand. I'm sorry, but Atlanta Braves fans, hey, you walked into a behind whipping today. I'm sorry. Maybe they forgot the game was today. Who knows? But anyway, meet me at Maduro's. Meet us at Maduro's tonight from about 8:35 until close. Our next announcement is, as you remember, thanks to our partnership with Status Network and with work that I'm doing with Creative Community Solutions, we are doing some college football coverage. Now, as you see, it's been a minute since I've been up to the alma mater, Wake Forest University. So what you see right there is the little cover art from the article and coverage we did back in September 13th, when they won their ESPN nationally televised game against North Carolina. Well, lo and behold, a month later, the Wake Forest University Demon Deacons are ranked 17th in the college coaches poll, 19th in the main AP ESPN poll, and they've got a big set of games coming up. Now, we're not going to be able to join them this Saturday for their Saturday night game against Louisville, but the next time we'll be able to go up to Demon Deacon Country will be October 19th. We're going to be there. Hopefully I get there early enough to get my photo badge, but if not, I'll just have to report from the press box and doing post-game interviews, as we will cover the Wake Forest versus Florida State game. So shouts to Marshall Shepard, Cecil Howard. Y'all about to lose. You heard it here first, and you're going to read about it later. I'm having fun, y'all, and I hope you are too. So shouts again, and thanks again to the network for helping play a part in making that coverage opportunity happen. And do we have any other announcements? One last announcement. And yes, this is from one of our other guests that was here for our last show. International Atlanta Unity Day. This is a great event that's getting ready to take place November 16th in Lithonia/Stonecrest at the AEI Startup Factory. The time may change. That start time is listed from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It will probably still wind down at 4, but that start time might be pushed back to about 10. But in order to get updated information, refer to the website at the bottom. Now, when they were here, they only had 10 vendor slots, so it's going to be a great number of vendors. There'll be an authors roundtable, and guess what? That's right. I'll be one of the authors for the Authors Roundtable. They even have a film festival, so if you or someone you know is an aspiring film writer and things along those lines, Short Film Festival. So there you have it with our announcements. You can tell we got a lot of things going on. And in just a couple moments, we are going to bring in our guest. So thanks to technology, we have, oh my goodness, she's here. Oh my goodness, she is here. She is here. She is live and in the building. So during this first segment, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get introduced to one of the great up-and-coming authors who's welcome to the club and all that type of thing. Could you please let our viewers know who you are?
Hello, I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much, Andrew. I really appreciate this opportunity. I am Valerie D. Johnson, author of Wow, I Needed to Know That, the manual for embracing a powerful life without limits.
Wow. See, you had me at wow. You know, like that movie where they say you had me at hello, bless you. You had me at wow. So for our viewers, give our viewers a point of reference. Where are you from? And walk us through a little bit of your professional journey so people realize author is just one of the hats you wear. So could you do that for our viewers, please?
Absolutely. So I am originally from Mississippi. I'm a Southern girl, Southern Belle, and I moved to DC to work on my master's at Howard University. And then I worked there for about 8 years and then moved to North Carolina. So I am in Greensboro, North Carolina. I taught 20 years at Bennett College as voice professor and college choir director. And presently, I am at North Carolina A&T State University.
Wait. We're gonna pause right there. So you're in the triad, and as you know, I have ties to the triad. Wait,
yes.
So shouts to, the Bennett Bells and, to our colleagues who are alums of A&T. Yeah, I know about GHOE and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but, one time we'll do it. One time Aggie Pride for all the Aggies out there.
Right, right. But I'm a Bison though, so you know.
Hey, you know what? That's a conversation between the Bison and the Aggies. My name is Bennett. I ain't in it.
Yeah,
That's
right,
all
right, right.
it is.
Exactly, exactly. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, so
now,
I've been doing music for years. I grew up singing and pursued that career, and have had a successful career at singing and directing and musical directions and all of that kind of thing.
so it's great. So again, grew up originally from Mississippi, and we've had
Yes.
folks from the SIP. I'm sure
Yep.
folks from the
From the
SIP.
SIP. Mhm.
You made your way to the DMV. You're just like a walking acronym from the SIP to the DMV to the Triad. Like
Right.
you've got all shapes, sizes, and colors covered.
That's right. That's right.
and
Very
on
colorful.
top of that, in addition to wearing the author hat as an educator, and especially when it comes to vocal, as being, I'll say, instructor in voice,
Yes.
if I've got it correct.
Yes.
So you've got these great things going on, education wise, arts wise. Describe to our viewers. Here you are, educationally sound, entrenched in the community, vocal. How, walk through with our viewers the progression into tapping into your author hat, because that's really just almost like another arm or extension of the creative genius that you're already doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I started writing the first part of my book like in 2000. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this out. And that never happened. And then I wrote another one mid 2000. And it wasn't a complete book. I was leading to the big book. And it was just thoughts that I had, things that I thought people needed to know. And as a professor, especially at a all girls college, there is a lot of conversations that I've had. There's a lot of counseling, mentoring that I have done. So a lot of what the book is now is because of all the things that I was already doing and saying. So about a year ago, I had a friend. We were talking, and she was like, I think you should have already written a book by now. And I'm like, what?
Wait, I'm going to pause you right there. You should have already written a book right now. Gee, I wonder who in this conversation has heard that before. You have any suggestions?
Right,
Any
right,
ideas? So, but it's cool though that, because like you said before, the process really got started in 2000, and some people think it's overnight or it automatically hits you. Sometimes it really is like a gradual piece.
Yeah.
So walk through with us, and like you said before, you had thought about it, then it was kind of, I'll get to it, and get to it. And part of it
Right.
is where life happens, for lack of a term, life happens.
Yes.
But then someone else kind of revisited and planted that seed, and it's like you had already been, fostering and developing your work.
Right. Absolutely. So the first book that I wrote, I thought it was going to end up being a pamphlet. And I was like, so I'll keep working on it and developing it. And then the next one was a little bit more complete. And then the third one, I got the complete table of contents just sitting in church one day. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And I came on and started writing. So when my friend gave me this idea, I was like, okay, so let me see if how all of this works out. I'm not going to write 3 separate books at the same time. So when I finished talking with her, I went directly to my mentor. I was scheduled to have a meeting with him, and he was like, you need to put all of it together. Everything that you have been writing, the extra little writings you've done, the 3 books that you've been doing, put it all together. And I'm like, I don't think all that goes together, because there were 3 different subject matters.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, I put all of that together one weekend and just started reading. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me, God. Are you kidding? I have a whole book. So it was like it all matched.
And it's funny because, like you said before, everybody's processes, are different. And for you, you're like, okay, you felt like you had to do. Sometimes you do have to separate so you can concentrate on this area and go in deep, and then the next area going deep. But based on what you did, it sounds like you already had the depth and detail there. It was just a matter of organizing and putting it together.
That's exactly what happened. So I took the pieces that I already had and tried to figure out, okay, what are the connectors that I need and what's missing? And it wasn't very much, by the way. It wasn't. I used those three big pieces and then maneuver with the other pieces and came up with a book.
That is awesome. And I think I'm glad you shared that because, and I'm sure you get questions. I know I get questions. One of it's, well, how do you write or what's your process? Everybody's process is different.
Definitely different.
And it's going to be some people can sit down and boom, 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 it comes. Some it might take a year. Some of it, like one author that I had in earlier this year, it was just a compilation of notes that she had over extended period of time. So to a degree, it was a similar process. You had all this material that was rich, engrossing, and now it's a matter of, it's almost like you'd already done the grocery shopping.
Yes.
And you'd already had all the ingredients. You just had to put the thing in the oven and you were good to go.
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And I will tell you, the missing pieces were ideas I already had. And so what I did was I took one part and I just literally started writing, what is the lead in to this particular chapter, the first chapter in particular. And the other chapters were things that I were very, very passionate about, and things, again, that I had been teaching or mentoring, those ideas, those thoughts that I gathered from over the years. I put it all down on paper.
And that's great. And again, and I'm glad that you're sharing a lot of your not only part of, let's say, your professional and personal journey, but in regards to your writing journey, how you got to this point. And again, sometimes when people are like, I want to write, but I don't know what I want to write about, sometimes you've already done it. Sometimes the answer is literally like right there in front of your face. And to varying degrees, you're writing about things that you know, bless you, and you've experienced and are still experiencing. So you already had it, like literally it was like right there in front of you.
Yes, that's it. Yes, everything was right there. And so when I started writing, I didn't have a whole lot to actually add in per se, but I needed to develop those extra ideas. But once I got started, I mean, it was relatively easy to actually put it down on paper. But I will tell you, writing, writing can be jealous.
A jealous person of interest. I'm just being silly.
Exactly. So I knew that one of my friends said, well, why don't you start writing in the morning, 8:00, be ready. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. So I had to choose a time where I knew I was up, I was energetic. And so 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon was my time. And so if I started writing at 2 or 3, I might write to midnight, but I had to go with the flow and wherever the energy was. And usually it was around that time.
And you spoke to a good point, and that ties in with everybody's process is different. Sometimes for writers, it's going to be a certain time of the day when everything is, ideal. Sometimes you'll rotate your time of the day depending on the ebb and flow. Sometimes it's location, like you might not write in the same space and place because sometimes you need a new setting to kind of, get the creative ideas flowing. I'm glad that, during this first segment, so our viewers get a point of reference as to who you are, and even for others who are watching who have written or have thought about writing, the key thing is everybody's process is different. And there's no real right or wrong way. It's once you find what works for you. And like you were saying before, you knew for you, 2 p.m. was where you're going to get your best work done and your most consistent work done.
Yes.
Once you figure out what that zone is, then you work with it. And then when it's not happening, and I'm sure you can vouch for me on this, there might be times you leave it alone for a day or two. Or you may have to go someplace different. Or sometimes you work in silence. Or sometimes you work with music going on or whatever. Everybody kind of gets that nudge or that push a little bit differently.
That's right. That's right. And you have to find your rhythm. I call it rhythm. You have to find what is the rhythm.
Wait, find your rhythm, and you're a voice coach? Come on. I mean, what other word were you going to use? Well, you've got to find the process. Why?
Right, no.
Like you weren't going to use the word rhythm. Come on.
No, it's rhythm. It's rhythm, Andrew. It's rhythm. You got to find your rhythm. So yes, finding the rhythm again. You're right. Sometimes, most times it was instrumental jazz. Most times,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, I needed nature. So wherever I would go to write, I needed nature because nature inspires me. So there's a wonderful library not too far from my house. This glass walls. So I'm like, yeah, that's my spot. But you're right. There were multiple places that I went to actually write them.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, again, for our viewers in this first segment and getting a point of reference with our exclusive guest, looking at the journey from where you're from, where you've been previously, where you are right now, where you're planted right now, the work you're already doing as an educator, as a, as an instructor of voice. So you are already tying in with I'll say the technical pieces, but also the creative pieces.
Yes.
And then, like you were saying before, the whole ebb and flow, that really to me sounds a whole lot like an extension of who you are and what you're already doing. So now this next step is going ahead and adding the title of author. And when we get into our next segment, really being able to go in depth and detail regarding the topics covered and things along those lines. So as we get ready to wind down this first part, of course, this is not going to be the only part because we got a few more to go, and having that point of reference, as we get ready to ease into our commercial break, let viewers know, we're going to have your items rotating during the commercial break, but let readers know and viewers know while, we're at that time, what are some of the easiest ways for people to engage and connect so they can start finding out more about, your story. They've got the point of reference where you are professionally, and now we're in the hat, but now let's give them that appetizer. How can they find out more about the work that you're doing?
Okay. So the first thing you can do is come to my book signing, which is going to be in Atlanta this weekend. So I'm really excited about that. So that's Sunday, October 13th from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. at Coffee Loft, which is located at 322 Peters Street, Southwest Atlanta. So that's the first thing. Come out, get a book, and I'll have a discussion about the book. And then next weekend, I will be, and that's the weekend of the 20th, I will be in Mississippi at the Quitman Train Depot.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to take a brief commercial break. During the commercial break, we'll have that and related info going. So we'll take about a quick minute or two to catch our breath. And we come back for the next segment. We're going to go knee deep into going into some of the themes and concepts of your book. So viewers, stay tuned. But during the commercial break, make sure to take note and pay attention because, come on, you got an author, not just me, but an author coming into space and place real soon. Let's take that commercial break for just a few moments, please. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Status Network, the live TV channel, and this is the Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton. We are back for part 2 of our exclusive interview, and as you heard from the first go-round, a great author, great vocalist, educator, based out the SIP, time in the DMV, now time in the Triad. We even, shout out the HBCUs, Howard and A&T, the whole Aggie Pride, all that. Like I said, I'm not getting in the middle of that conversation because I know y'all go back and forth. Who's the biggest? And
right.
Look, all I'm gonna say is both of y'all are great. Both of y'all are great. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Safe.
That's it. That's it. That way, when they see me walking around in DC in the borough, they won't be throwing any rocks at me or anything. Right? So let's go ahead and get into the book. So again, give our viewers the title, and how did you come up with the title?
So the title is Wow, I Needed to Know That. I don't know if you can see that. Wow, I Needed to Know That, the manual for embracing a powerful life without limits. I was sharing some of the content of the book with some of my family and friends. And each time that I shared it, they all responded, wow, I didn't know that. And I'm like, okay. So about the fifth person, I'm like, okay, I need to know. That's what the title needs to be.
Wait, so I'm gonna pause right there because normally, like like for validation, you need to hear it 2 or 3 times. So you got the memo when it was like 5 times.
Yeah,
you need a little extra validation for that title.
I'm like, this has got to be the right title, right? Oh. So when I started sharing the information, and that's basically how I came up with the title.
Okay, and describe to our viewers some of the key topics that are covered. Like you were saying in the first segment, a lot of it is taken from the previous work that you've done, but walk through with our viewers, what are some of the, I'll say, topics of interest that are covered within the book?
Okay. So I start the book out by talking about stinking thinking. I tell you, we have a hard time getting to purpose. We get in the wrong jobs. We mess up friendships because of stinking thinking. So the first chapter, I address stinking thinking and the hindrances in our lives. And then at the end of that chapter, I address purpose. Because when you understand purpose, then you stop wasting time. You won't get in jobs that really don't serve you and help to usher your purpose forward. So that's the first chapter, and that's the heavy hitter. I mean, I really go in detail about stinking thinking. And then chapter 2 is wisdom. People come to me all the time asking me questions about different things. Students ask me different things, their parents. So that chapter 2 is about wisdom for men, wisdom for women, wisdom for businesses, and wisdom for college students. And then chapter 4 is understanding relationships. Ooh. We can't get past them.
Ooh.
Ooh. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I address it. And then the next chapter is how to live with limited resources. Oh boy. So sometimes we just don't know what sources are available to us. And I share some surprising things, some stuff that I didn't even know. And I share this in the book. That's why I'm really encouraging people to get the book, because that chapter really has some good stuff in it. And then I talk about leaders. Many times we have leaders who just really don't know who they are, or they are really managers. And there's no negativity towards managers, but sometimes people don't understand what it means to be a leader in the true essence of what a leader is. And that's being innovative and knowing the talent in the room. So I'll get into that a little bit later. And then I go into, and this was the first book I wrote, what to do and what not to do when someone dies. We say some really crazy things, and we do some really crazy things when people die.
Really?
And at the end of that, I talk about the legal stuff.
Okay.
And then the last chapter is faith. Of course, you got to have faith to even make this journey, in my opinion.
Wow. So it really is, it's a composite of really life experience when you really sit down and think about it. And even with what you said, a lot of it's fluid. Like leadership, it isn't just, corporate or, public. That's
Right.
so many different arenas. Relationships. Oh, that's a wonderful thing. Yes, of course. Ha ha ha. Hee hee hee. Yes. Hours of
Yes,
entertainment on that one, but I mean, not just relationships in that sense, but fostering and developing
absolutely.
and nurturing and pouring in and identifying constructive as well as destructive, things
That's right.
along those lines. So really, even though it's like you wrote it through the lens of your, I'll say, professional, a little bit of personal experience, it sounds
Uh-huh.
like thematically these are things that can be universally applied, and that sounds like what really makes it like relevant and accessible.
Sure.
Walk through with us of the chapters, and I've had this asked of me, but which chapter was the hardest for you to write about?
Chapter one, hands down. I edited, wrote it, edit. I mean, it was really hard because when you start talking about the hindrances in our lives, the stinking thinking, as I call it, um, I needed to be very careful not to veer off into the clinical side because I'm not a psychologist.
Okay.
I don't have that training. However, I am a life design catalyst coach, which
Mm-hmm.
means that I help people find out where they're going, how they're
Right.
getting there, all of that. So I wanted to be very careful about not crossing that line.
And I'm going to pause you. I'm glad you did, because those of us who do coaching, we've got to understand, and for the public, you've got to understand the difference between the lens that a coach operates through
Uh-huh.
and, like you said, a counselor. Counselor, like you said, has the formal training. The
That's
coach
right.
is just to
That's
help
right.
you identify what are the roadblocks and what do you think you need to put in place, which is
Mhm.
totally different. So people,
That's
I'm
right.
glad that you spelled that out so people
Yeah.
understand the lens that you're coming from.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do share, a few statistics or whatever, for example, when we continue to allow grief or trauma or any bad
Mm-hmm.
experiences to linger in us and we don't address them, then they create issues within us. And so, as long as you have those issues, you can't be your truly authentic self. You just can't do it. Excuse me
Bless
again,
you.
because
Bless you.
there is something blocking you or there's something in you that's keeping you from really being free. It's just like the bad breakup. You've been in a relationship and you break up and you go through the heartache and the eating of the ice cream and whatever, whatever. And when it's over, you're like, whew, let me move on. So that feeling at that time is what you need to live in, that feeling of I am free within myself. And I can tell you there are a number of people that I have seen and coached um, who are still caught up in what happened 30 years ago.
And I'm going to pause you right there, because I'll tell you what, for my first book, and one of the chapters dealt with the whole transition, whatever relationship that didn't work out. And
Yeah.
I remember at a signing, some people were noting, this is how I felt 10 years ago, and I still feel that way. And that's huge. Like you said, like, it's the proverbial get the help that you need so you don't
Yeah.
stay stuck there.
That's right.
That's
Stuck.
so huge. So even like I touch about it in a chapter, you went, obviously, the same in principle, the same thing, but just going on a different tangent. But
Right.
just don't stay stuck there.
Don't stay stuck there. And so that's what I'm encouraging the reader to do is, and I have many questions for self-assessment, which is why I call it a manual, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I have tons of questions there that will help a person to really evaluate, where am I? Am I moving forward? Am I really stuck? There's a case study done by Case Western Reserve University that says rejection and trauma and all that, I think all go in the same category. A person that experiences that loses reason by 30%. that that's a
Wow.
lot. Yeah, that's a
Wait,
lot. And then
repeat.
there's some other statistics.
Do me a favor. Repeat that one more time to let people know that, yeah, if you hold on to too much of the wrong stuff, it's really going to impair and impact you. So do us a favor,
Yeah.
repeat that stat again,
Okay,
please.
so that was Case Western Reserve University. Reasoning decreases, I believe, by 30%. So that means that you see people snap. There's a show called Snap, and people just lose it. I think that some of that is because They haven't dealt with whatever, and that reasoning is out the window. 30% is a lot.
Well, look, I know every once in a while I have a bad day. I ain't trying to make it worse. I'm not. No, ma'am. No, sir. Look, I'm no. If look at here, I don't want 30% of anything taken away from me. That might put me
Right,
in. That might put me
right,
in a bad. Oh
right.
goodness. And keep going with some of these other items where, like you said, you're looking at it through the lens of educator to a degree, I'll say educator, coach, and bringing in a little bit of data to be like, hey, there's really something to this. So while I might not be able to fully go in this direction because that's not,
Right.
quote, my formal training, here are a couple of things for you to think about and consider.
Well,
So please, bless you,
excuse me for coughing.
please share a couple of these other, key themes and discussions, and like you said, with the manual having those questions so people are able to do some of the assessment that they might not have even thought about.
Exactly. And my desire is that people will read it, and if they need counseling, they will actually go.
Good.
That is my desire. So when I finish talking about all this thinking, and the emotional stuff that causes us to not move forward in our lives, I talk about purpose. And because I'm a life design and catalyst coach, of course, that's one of the things I do in my workshop
Mm-hmm.
is I talk about purpose.
Oh, bless
Excuse
you.
me, I have a
Sure.
cough.
No problem. Bless you.
So I go into, again, self-assessment to decide, what is it? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And I believe all of us are called to do some kind of meaningful work that impacts other people and impacts the world in some form or fashion. We just have to figure out what that is. So that whole chapter one is pretty powerful. And then again, like I said, I talk about wisdom and the whole relationship thing. Uh, you know, Sometimes we have people to fall by the wayside, and you need to understand if they are here or in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And when
Wait,
you
wait, wait. Say it,
understand
say it, say it loud for the people in the back, because it sounds like.
you
Wait,
have to
do you have a little bit of clergy background? This sounds like a sermon. Wait, I mean, I
listen.
know I'm still, to my knowledge, still serving on the board of a divinity school, but darn, that sounds like a sermon. One more time for the folks in the back.
Yes, you need to understand if people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Let me tell you, it will help you to avoid a lot of heartache. I share this story all the time that sometimes we have people come in our lives and we end up being hurt because the relationship wasn't reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found out was sometimes those relationships that were not reciprocal, I was actually supposed to be helping them with something, and that was it. It wasn't meant to be.
Ooh, whoa, whoa, pause right there. You put something heavy out there. So, in other words, sometimes you're supposed to be the bridge to help somebody get to where they're going. And
Aha.
wait, 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 wait.
Wow.
What? See, you know what? Now I see why all 5,100 kin folks were saying wow and stuff. Shoot, that's like big. But no, but you know what? You make a valid point. Sometimes your role is to be that stabilizer.
Yes.
And
Yes.
other times, other people's roles get you to where you get your mind right so you can make smarter
Ex-
decisions. So they might
Exactly.
not be the end all. That's huge.
That's
That's
right.
huge.
That's right. So hold on to your hat because I'm getting ready to give you another big
Oh,
one.
good Lordy Lord, good Lordy Lord. What's next?
I actually had someone to tell me that they married their assignment. They should have actually given them information to help them in a short period of time and kept it moving. But they ended up, oh, you're nice to me, you helped me, blah 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 blah, and then you're married. Problem. So of course that didn't
Yeah.
work out too good.
Yeah. I'm just
So again,
laughing
you need
because.
to know if your relationship is for, and I'm not even talking about just boyfriend girlfriend kind of
Oh,
relationship
no, you
or
make a.
romantic relationships.
And
I'm
yeah.
talking about any kind of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know so you don't find yourself hurt like I have found myself hurt because I expected something from somebody else when it wasn't even supposed to be that.
Wow. And see what you're saying, and this comes back to what I said before, like the things that you're covering can be applied in so many areas, not just personal, not just professional, like you said before, from business to when I think about what you're talking about with relationships, you think about groups that's, a group of 4 or 5, and then the lead singer does their thing and the percussionist. So maybe like that time was you're together to kind of continue to hone your craft and build
Yes.
up your resume to a point now you've got a launching point to do this or to do
That's
that. So
right.
some things are fluid. Wow.
Yes.
Making it
Yeah.
sound like water. Give me a glass of water then. Wow.
Yeah. So you
So
got you have to
you
know it. You got to know the difference.
you are bringing some great pieces for people to really think about, to really pause and evaluate. And like you said, it's like one of the the ultimate goal is to get people to a point where they can pause and assess, and then
Right.
they're doing a little bit more. I'll say a little bit more purpose, with a little bit more of a sense of purpose. Like, okay, I
Absolutely.
need to go get counseling, or okay, I need to go to the gym or watch my diet, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this person have this conversation to see where there's areas of overlap, and then
Right.
go from there. So you're providing, it's part educational, part creative, part humor, part like grandmommy say, let's come on, let me sit down and talk to you for a minute.
That's right.
Wow. So
Exactly.
this is great. So now again, this is what this manual, would you say that it really is a combination of the other different works, or would you say this is the masterpiece after blending this all together?
So those other three pieces are actually in this one piece.
Okay.
The only one that's not is I think the second one that I wrote. I use some of the elements. It really is a book all by itself. So actually, I have another book that I'll be writing soon. So, but I did use major elements from it. But
Okay.
yes, it's one big body of work that's supposed to help you with your everyday living, no matter where you are. Matter if you're unstuck, stuck, wherever you are, there's something in there. I think for everybody.
Wow, that's huge. And again, to be able to pull from, your the different lenses of experience, and
Hmm.
be able to put something in a form that is accessible, a
Hmm.
form where people really can pause and take inventory, the proverbial let's slow down the moving parts so you can see things a little bit clear. Now
Yes.
as you see things clear, it's kind of like, look, you can cross the street blindfolded, but if you get hit, it's not my fault. You better make sure take the blindfold off and look both ways and walk deliberately, because if you
That's
run
right.
and trip, they can't gauge where you're going. It might not be a good outcome.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
Okay, that is awesome. So as we're getting ready to get to our next break in just a couple of moments, um, remind our viewers again the title. Remind our viewers the 2 immediate appearances that you'll have, and also remind our viewers how they can stay connected. So even though we're going to show this during the commercial break, we know some
Okay.
people are visual, some people are audio. So again, remind our viewers the title, the next 2 upcoming events slash book signings, and how people can continue to engage with you.
Okay. So the book is Wow, I Needed to Know That, the manual for embracing a powerful life without limits. I'll be in Atlanta this Sunday, October 13th at 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. at Coffee Loft, which is located at 322 Peter Street Southwest there in Atlanta. And then on October 20th, I'm going home to Mississippi. So I'll be at Quitman Train Depot. That's in the heart of town. Can't miss that. So I'll be there Sunday, October 20th from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to stay connected with me, please follow me on Instagram at Life with Val D. That's 2 E's and the number 8. And then Twitter is Life with Val D. And you feel free to email me, lifewithvald at Gmail, and my website, lifewithvald.net.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take another quick commercial break. That way, during the break, people can see the info and take that down and take advantage of it. So we're going to pause for the cause for just a couple of moments. When we come back, we'll bring all this stuff together. We are live on the Status Network, the live TV channel. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton. Let's take that commercial break for just a few moments, please. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Status Network, the live TV channel, the Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton. And obviously, we have a great conversation with some great guests across the board. But you always tell, like when we have fellow authors on, we already know what's up, man. It just takes it to a totally different space and place. Shout out to all the authors that are out there. So as we get ready to kind of wind this down, again, for our viewers, remind people who you are, where you're based out of, and again, recap the book so people have it on their radar. So go ahead.
Okay. So again, I am Valerie D. Johnson. I am in Greensboro, North Carolina, headed to Atlanta, Georgia this Sunday at Coffee Loft, 322 Peters Street from 3 to 6. And I am excited about going to Mississippi on October 20th from 3 to 6 at the Equipment Train Depot. The book is Wow, I Needed to Know That, the manual for embracing a powerful life without limits. And its purpose to help anybody on this thing called life, on this journey called life, and to help propel you to the next thing, the next great thing that's in your life. And maybe you don't know that there's something deeper or greater in your life. So the book will help you in that instance. I talk about, getting rid of stinking thinking, anything that hinders us from being great. I talk about the legalities around death and the crazy things we do and the things we should consider doing when someone dies. I talk about faith. I talk about living with limited resources. I got some really surprising things in that chapter. Talk about relationship. I talk about leadership. And of course, I had to talk about purpose because I'm a life design catalyst coach and I'm helping people to go where they need to go and find a way and assess and get there with accountability. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great resource just from our conversation today, a great resource tapping into your educational experience, your overall professional experience, a little bit of personal, and a little bit of just kind of pulling things together in as accessible a format where it really is speaking with you instead of at you and just asking you, let's just pause for a minute. Let's take inventory. Now that you've taken inventory, what you want to do. Make it that simple.
That's exactly right.
The best ways for people to stay connected and engaged with you. Please repeat those for our viewers.
Okay, so that's lifewithvald.net. That's my website. Life with Val D on Twitter. Life with Val D, the number 8, Instagram. And you can always email me at lifewithvaled@gmail.com.
And that is awesome. So you're going to be in the A this coming Sunday,
Yeah.
October 13th, and then
Yeah.
making a trip back to the SIP
Oh,
on
yeah.
October 20th. And have had a couple of guests who have ties to the SIP. So shouts to Chambers Realty Group with ties to the SIP. And
Okay.
for apparel, they were one of our guests in August from the SIP. So yeah, we and the local activist Dominic Brown from the SIP. So Mississippi been knee deep in this show every once in a
Yeah,
while.
all right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So as we get ready to wind down, I just want to say, number one, thank you for taking and making the time out of your busy schedule and all your moving parts to sit down with us. Thank you for sharing really elements of your personal journey, professional journey, your community engagement, your commitment to people, and being an additional resource by adding on the hat of author. That doesn't come easy, but we really are grateful and appreciative of that. Thank you for taking and making the time. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Man,
Thank
look
you.
here. I've made that road trip up and down I-85. So
Yes, yes.
yes, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Yes, yes. That's a haul.
Be safe out there. Continued well wishes with all that you are working on. So we're
Thank
going to
you.
draw our time together to a close, and then I'm going to close out on a couple of things. But thank you so much for taking and making the time tonight.
And thank you, Andrew. Best wishes to you on this conversation. Yeah, I mean the conversation corner. I love it. So I want to continue encouraging you however I can. So if there's any way I can help you, you let me know.
Oh, thank you. See, make me try to cry on set, man. Just think. See, look at here. I'm showing my emotions. I ain't afraid to cry.
Oh,
Listen,
Oh,
you take
God.
good care.
Will
You can
do.
go ahead and sign off, and we're going to close out shortly. But thank you so much. And
Thank
everything.
you.
So thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And ladies and gentlemen, as we're getting close to the end of the show, we have fun here. We really do. Yes, we take care of business and all this type of stuff, but we have a lot of fun. We bring in some great people doing great things. So real quick, as we get ready to close out, a couple of reminders. The next show, October 23rd, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my 1 year. Oh, my goodness, a year ago. Friend of yours, that was me, had his debut show. So we got some big things coming up on that end. So October 23rd, 7 p.m. is the anniversary edition. 1 year and more to come of the Conversation Corner. So as we get ready to close out, again, please continue to support the network, support these great shows, support these great hosts and stuff. And we're going to ride out into the sunset with the reminder, make sure you go ahead and cop the Author's Mixtape. So let's go ahead and we will see you next time.
What's going on, y'all? This is author Andrew Snorton, and today's project is the Author's Mixtape Volume 1, From H to O, looking at things a little bit differently compared to other poetry and spoken word pieces. This is done in partnership with Third Level Entertainment Music Group, and the way we did our spoken word is a little bit different. What you're about to hear is purely organic. In other words, the topics were picked, given to me. Then I had 10 minutes to come up with something, and they had 10 minutes to come up with instrumentals. You'll hear 2 instrumental tracks and 4 traditional tracks. So sit back, relax, take it all in, and remember, this is the first of what'll be soon to come, the Author's Mixtape.